The Reverend Jesse Jackson may not have ever become president, but he sure laid the foundation for a new era of progressive politics in the U.S. And this is the subject of a brand new book coming out this week by CNN's Abby Phillip. It's called A Dream Deferred, Jesse Jackson and the Fight Back Political Power.
That chant was a rallying cry for millions of Americans.
I rise to declare that I can and announce to you this day my decision to seek the nomination of the Democratic Party for the presidency of the United States.
A campaign that ushered in a new era in American politics.
All precious in God's sight. Rainbow 84.
Black voters flexed their muscle in the Democratic Party, and Jesse Jackson forced his party to open the political tent to all voters.
We challenge the Democratic Party to respect all of its constituency. We will have a negotiation. Blacks, women, Hispanics, workers, Indians, Chinese, Filipinos, we must come together and form the Rainbow Coalition. We need each other.
Jesse Jackson's history-making run has influenced a new generation of American politicians, from Bernie Sanders to AOC and Zohran Mamdani in New York City.
My friends, our time is now.
Mamdani's insurgent campaign of economic populism channeling a Jackson refrain.
Our time has come. We must leave racial battleground and come to economic common ground and moral higher ground. America, our time has come.
In 1984 and 1988, Jackson shocked the political establishment by drawing the votes of millions, including in unexpected places. Ultimately, after coming in second place in the 1988 Democratic primary, Jackson pushed through rule changes that paved the way for the country to elect its first black president, Barack Obama, 20 years later. For decades, Jackson's campaigns were dismissed as a momentary flash. But his dream of politics, anchored by economic solidarity and racial justice, deferred for more than 40 years, may hold a blueprint for today's Democratic Party.
And it's great to have CNN anchor and author Abby Phillip here with me now, the author of A Dream Deferred. So you were born 3 weeks after Jesse Jackson's 1988 campaign ended. You've covered so many campaigns. What made you want to go back in history to pre-Abby to find out more about him and his career?
Well, look, this campaign, I think a lot of people remember that Jesse Jackson ran, but I think most people don't remember how close he actually came, especially in 1988, to being the Democratic nominee. He was the second runner-up in that campaign, and there's one particular moment when he won the Michigan primary where everybody in the Democratic Party had to contemplate for the first time, wait a second, what would happen if there is a Jesse Jackson who is the Democratic nominee and perhaps a Jesse Jackson for president? That was also the first time Jesse Jackson had to contemplate that. And so this book is really about taking a much closer look at those campaigns, because I think when he was running, it was not very clear what the significance of his campaigns were. And in fact, many people thought he was just a gadfly. He was running to just make a point. I don't think it's been until maybe 20 or 30 years later that we have a better understanding of just how much of an impact they had.
Oh, for sure. And I think one of the things that seems true to me, and you make the case well, is you don't have Bernie Sanders without Jesse Jackson. You don't have AOC without Jesse Jackson. And he made cases that took decades for the Democratic Party to catch up to: Palestinian statehood, national health care.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And this idea that economic solidarity, economic justice should be the bedrock of the Democratic Party's platform is something that he ran on all the way back then, and now is how Bernie Sanders operates in politics. And it wasn't just that, but doing so while also not abandoning social justice. Because, of course, he first ran to say to the Democratic Party, don't take black voters for granted. And he proved through his candidacy that black voters could be an incredibly powerful force in the Democratic primary. I would also argue that Joe Biden owes a lot to Jesse Jackson,
Sure.
because the idea that there are all these black Democratic voters who helped him bypass Iowa and New Hampshire in 2020, as you remember, that was made possible largely by Jesse Jackson. That was also the path that Jesse Jackson envisioned for the future of the Democratic Party, that they could go through the South, through the bedrock of the Democratic Party, which is black voters, to the nomination. So there are so many people, and I didn't even bring up Barack Obama, because as we all know, it's not just because Barack Obama is a black candidate. It's also because Jesse Jackson changed the rules of the Democratic Party that allowed Obama to gain delegates in a proportional fashion in 2008. He wouldn't be the nominee had it not been for that rule change.
Literally changed the rules.
Literally changed the rules.
I remember this political cartoon from 1988 that had like a pickup truck in Michigan.
Yeah.
And it was like a Reagan, it was one of the famous Reagan Democrats with a Jesse Jackson sticker on his bumper sticker, because he wasn't only attractive to black voters, working class or college educated, he was also attractive to white working class voters. And I wonder if there's anything in Jesse Jackson's example that the modern Democratic Party can draw on.
He went where the people were. There was no part of the country that he said he wasn't going to go to. And that image of that kind of pickup truck, there's another image that is in the book, when you buy it, hopefully you all buy it, but it's in the book. It's of all these white farmers with brown paper bags over their heads. And they're at a Jesse Jackson rally. And they were protesting farm foreclosures. And Jesse Jackson had spent, between the 1984 campaign and the 1988 campaign, he had spent a large amount of time rallying with farmers who had their farms foreclosed. And he made his campaign about farm issues just as much as it was about other things. So that's one of the things that I think many people will find surprising, because it wasn't actually reported on in the media, I think, in those years, just how much time he spent among white people in the South, among white people in Iowa and Missouri and in rural Michigan and rural Wisconsin. And those supporters are still there. I talked to a lot of them as I was writing this book, and his impact on them has really stuck around for decades.
The book is fantastic. I have read it. It's called A Dream Deferred, Jesse Jackson in the Fight for Black Political Power. It's a warts and all look at everything he did with his participation. Really fascinating. It comes out Tuesday. CNN's Abby Phillip, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone out there, go get yourself a copy.
Thank you so much, Jake.